Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Magda Mustafa Sadiq, Associate Professor of Economics at the Faculty of Administrative Science, National University, Sudan. Today, we will begin our journey into the fascinating world of microeconomics. By the end of this lecture, you will understand what microeconomics is, why it is important, and the fundamental concepts that form the basis of analysis. Let me start by defining what is microeconomics. Microeconomics is one of the two major branches of economics. While macroeconomics studies the economy as a whole, microeconomics focuses on individual decision makers. Throughout this course, we will study how consumers, households, workers, and firms make decisions and interact in different markets. Understanding these decisions helps explain how prices are determined, how businesses operate, and how scarce resources are allocated efficiently. So, what is microeconomics? So, what exactly is microeconomics? Microeconomics is a branch of economics that studies the behavior and decision-making of individual consumers, households, workers, and firms. So it examines how these individuals interact in markets to determine the prices and quantities of goods and services. One important idea in economics is that resources are limited, while human wants are unlimited. Because of this scarcity, every consumer and every producer must make choices. Microeconomics studies these choices and explains why people behave the way they do in economic situations. In simple words, microeconomics is a study of individual economic units and how they allocate scarce resources for production, consumption, and exchange. Let us shift to the key questions addressed by microeconomics, where microeconomics attempts to answer several important questions. For example, what determines the price of a product? Why do consumers buy less of product when its price increases? How do firms decide the quantity they should produce? How are wages, profits, and incomes determined? Why do some markets perform efficiently while others fail? These questions are very important, not only for economists, but also for business managers, policymakers, and consumers. So, let me give you some examples and importance of microeconomics. Let us consider a simple example. Suppose the price of coffee increases. Many consumers may decide to buy less coffee and instead they purchase tea because tea has become relatively cheaper. At the same time, coffee producers may increase production because higher prices make coffee production more profitable. Eventually, the interaction between consumers and producers determines a new market price and a new quantity of coffee sold. This simple example demonstrates how markets work through the forces of demand and supply. So why is microeconomics important? Microeconomics help us understand consumer behavior. It explains how business make production decisions. It helps determine prices in competitive markets. It promotes efficient allocation of scarce resources. It assists governments in designing better economic decisions. Finally, it helps businesses improve their decision making and competitiveness. Let me come to the main concepts of microeconomics starting from this slide. Now let us discuss the first two concepts in microeconomics. The first is consumer choice. Consumers have limited incomes but unlimited wants. Since they cannot buy everything they desire, they must choose how to spend their income to obtain the greatest possible satisfaction. This leads us to the concept of utility. Utility simply means the satisfaction or happiness that consumers receive from consuming goods and services. Economists assume that consumers try to maximize their utility while staying within their budget constraints. Consumer choice and utility form the foundation of demand theory, which we will study in great details in future lectures. Let us also come to production and cost as the main concepts also of microeconomics. The next concept is production. Production is a process of combining resources such as labor, capital, land, and entrepreneurship to produce goods and services. However, production always involves cost. There are several types of production cost. The first is fixed cost, which remain constant regardless of the level of production, such as rent. The second is variable cost, which change as production changes, such as raw materials and weights. Adding fixed and variable cost give us total cost. We have also average cost, which represent the cost per unit of output. We have marginal cost, which measures the additional cost of producing one more unit. Understanding these costs help firms make efficient production decisions. We have also revenue and profit and market structures as main concepts of microeconomics. Another important concept is revenue. Total revenue is calculated by multiplying the selling price by the quantity sold. Profit is obtained by subtracting total cost from total revenue. So every business aims to maximize profit while minimizing cost. Microeconomics also studies different market structures. These include perfect competition, where many firms sell identical products. We have also monopoly, where a single firm dominates the market. Monopolistic competition, where many firms sell differentiated products. And oligopoly, where only a few large firms dominates the market. Each market structure influences prices, competition, and business strategies differently. Review and conclusion. Before we conclude, let us review what we have learned today. We defined microeconomics as a study of individual economic decision making. So, we explored the major questions that microeconomics seek to answer. We discussed consumer choice, utility, production, cost, revenue, profit and different market structures. These concepts provide the foundation for all future topics in this course. I encourage you to review today's lecture carefully and attempt the review questions at the end of the presentations. Thank you very much for your attention. In our next lecture, we will continue exploring microeconomics by studying different topics concerning microeconomics. I look forward to seeing you in the next class. Thank you and goodbye.